The Haftarah, which is traditionally read on the Shabbat just before Rosh Hashanah, begins with poetic praise. The prophet Isaiah shouts out, "Sos asis badonai, I rejoice with exuberance in the eternal God. Tagel nafshi belohai, my whole being exults in my God, who has clothed me in triumph and robed me in righteousness, as a bridegroom whose head is adorned, as a bride bedecks herself in her finery." We might assume that the person who speaks such glowing words of praise are the words of a man with a charmed life. Sos asis, profound joy. Tagel nafshi, soulful joy. So who was the prophet Isaiah? What blessings did he know during his lifetime? Was he charmed? Was he lucky the way some are? Scholars teach us that the book of Isaiah is written in 2 or even 3 parts, separated by centuries. The first Isaiah was someone who spoke truth to power, and he must have been close to the royal circles. 4 kings he served and spoke out against, and he was never, or it never seemed to be punished for those critiques of the political situation of Jerusalem and beyond. He spoke that peace is better than war. He famously said, "The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid." We have here at Holy Blossom this one stained glass window dedicated to the age of prophecy, and there you can see some of Isaiah's words depicted in colored glass. But because the words of this particular Haftarah portion come from chapters 61, 62, and 63, we are taught by biblical scholars that these words are the words of the second Isaiah, or even the third Isaiah, and we hardly know anything about him, not even his name. But we love his words. In fact, more Haftarot come from second Isaiah than from any other of the biblical prophets. So what was he so happy about? Did he have a charmed life? Was he so lucky as some are? Why does he compare his joy to the joy of a crowned bridegroom and a bedecked bride? Second Isaiah lived 200 years after the first Isaiah. This so-called second Isaiah lived not in the land of Israel, but off to the northeast, far off in Babylonia, together with those who had been taken into captivity, exiled from their homes, their children and grandchildren still yearning for Jerusalem, still brokenhearted over Jerusalem's temple, which laid in ruin. So why rejoice? Second Isaiah is able to rejoice because he knew that the nature of this world is that things change. All around us is evidence of that. Nothing is stagnant, and nothing is forever. Neither the blessings nor the hardships of life last forever. And so from his exile, he was able to say, just as the earth brings forth blossoms in springtime, just as the gardens burst into flower, so the eternal God will make a glorious victory spring up for us before all the nations to see. He could have such confidence, not only because he could see that politically things were shifting in his world, and he saw a reason to be hopeful because there might be a path that they could carve out to one day be able to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple, but also because he was a man of faith. And we all might take inspiration from a measure of the faith that he knew. There's a new popular saying in the fight for equality: you can't be what you can't see. That is, you have to be able to see your hopes. You have to be able to see your desires. You have to be able to see your aspirations for your own life and for all the world. You have to be able to see in order to become. See those aspirations so you might become those aspirations. The job of the prophet is to describe the future as no one else can imagine it. While the Jewish captives are put down by the rivers of Babylon and can see no future for their children, second Isaiah dares to say with confidence and with faith, things change. Things will change. God will not rest until Jerusalem is restored, until God makes Jerusalem the praise of all the earth. These words are no word of fantasy, but faith. And there is a difference between the two. They might even be exact opposites of one another, fantasy and faith. Fantasy is fooling yourself that what is, isn't, or what isn't, is. Faith, on the other hand, is knowing what is, seeing it, understanding it, claiming it, and committing oneself to take it and rise above and beyond it. To do so is hard and holy work. And I must say on this Shabbat, to you, Holly, that you are blessed with a family uniquely talented in this hard and holy work. You are blessed with a kind of strength, a kind of grace, a kind of grit, a kind of wisdom, and the kind of love that can allow a family to rise above and beyond when hardships might come. And so the Shehechianu today is said in unison with you and the congregation. We join you in a fullness of joy when we say Shehechianu v'kiyumanu, that God has given us life and sustained us and enabled us to reach this day of joy. It seems some people know instinctively how to live with this kind of courage and faith, and others can be taught. Some may not rise to the occasion on their own, but can take guidance and inspiration from others, like Isaiah. And then we can find our way to it. And others we know never get there. For one reason or another, some lack the ability or the tools to imagine, to strive, to sanctify when life brings challenges, as it inevitably will. Our Haftarah, the Haftarah assigned for the Shabbat before Rosh Hashanah, Isaiah says, Ivru, Ivru, Basharim, pass through the gates. Clear a road, clear a path for the people. Solu, Solu, build up the highway, clear out the stones, and put a sign above the people for all to look on and see, to see this shining example, to see this way forward. These words, Ivru, Ivru, Solu, Solu, remind me of a one-woman show that I've only seen on YouTube, but it's really fun. A one-woman show called Urgent Messages from the Mother by Naomi Zelda Newman. And she teaches us through some comic relief how to see our lives, not through rose-colored glasses, but to see with eyes wide open, and then how to carve a path forward. This is the teaching of Isaiah as well. So let me share just an excerpt with you. Urgent Messages from the Mother. Enough of the oy vey path. Now we are going to fix it. Now we make a new path. So you take a shovel, you take a ground hacker, you take a hairpin. If all you've got is a hairpin, take a hairpin and start digging. Dig in all directions, up and down, right and left, in and out, not in a straight line, because nothing natural or interesting ever goes in a straight line. As a matter of fact, a straight line is the quickest way to the wrong place. And don't try to pretend you know where you're going either, because if you know where you are going, that means you've been there already, and you are going to end up exactly where you came from. And what good is that? So now we are digging. And all of a sudden, you bump into a stone. You pick it up. Oh, it's so cute. But throw it away like a hot potato. You are going to find a lot of bumps in the road, a lot of stones along the way, which are geologically fascinating. Stones of blame, resentment, self-pity. Oh, from these stones I could build a palace. But forget about it. You would build from those stones a prison for yourself. So instead, bend down, pick them up, and throw them away. Dig a little, pick a little, throw a little, turn. Dig a little, pick a little, throw a little, turn. And it helps if you sing a little along the way. Yabba bim bum, bim bum, bim bum. Now, this is where you've got to pay special attention to getting lost. If you are not lost, then you are in trouble. If you are lost, then good. Sit down, blow your nose, and wait. Sometimes you have to wait for a very long time, until a bird or a stranger comes along with a message. And do you know what you're supposed to do while you're waiting? You are supposed to do nothing. Nada, zilch, nothing. And if you can do that, if you can do nothing until the right thing comes along, then you have mastered the hardest part of all. So now you're back on the road. Nice and easy, no rush, no push. You take one little step, you take two little steps, you take three little steps, you take... Watch out. Watch out. You're about to fall into the puddle of empty manifestation. Here on the fourth step, you are meant to fall down. Not once, not twice, not occasionally, but yes, on every fourth step. The ground opens up, the wind blows, the branch hits you in the head, you trip on stones, you twist your ankle, your heart breaks, you've got to fold the laundry, and they have just closed the two left lanes. All of the forces are gathered together to stop you in your tracks. And some people, when it happens, they fall down and they lie right there for the rest of their lives. But some people learn how to fall down, get up. And that's one move, you know, fall down, get up. So now you're on your own way. And you notice that with every step you start to straighten a little. And it hurts. All of the places you've been bending over that got stuck. You don't try to avoid it hurting, because if you do, you will never straighten. And that is how you do it. You dig, you bend down, you throw away, you go in circles, you get lost, you wait, you listen, you do nothing, you fall down, get up. And inside, you unfold. We are now poised before the gates of a new year. We are now poised before the gates of change. How will we walk through them? What path will we carve out for ourselves, for those we love, for our country, for all of the world? How will we fall down, get up, despite natural disasters of all kinds, despite terrorism in every corner of this broken world, despite injustices and forms of hatred we thought we were done with? How do we fall down, get up, and create a path through personal hardships, personal heartbreaks? We will discover the answers to these questions over the coming days through our sacred texts, through our collective prayer, and through a lot of private soul searching. Tonight we'll gather for Slichot. We will turn to these exquisite melodies of Slichot. They will transfix us, transport us, and begin to transform us so that we can enter these daunting days of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Have a hard look, ask the hard questions, and imagine the prophet Isaiah calling upon us to imagine too what ought to be, what may yet come to be, if we will it, if we sanctify it. In conclusion, a prayer from tonight's Slichot. The high holy days are the great mountain peaks from whose heights we survey the hills and the valleys of our daily lives. We see the road of our years winding its way, now through bright, clear places of our worthiness, now through the dark and tangled jungle of our collective misdeeds and failures. But these solemn days do more than disclose the record of our past. They hold forth the promise of the future. They bring us to the realization that God is with us, that God waits for us. The source of all being sets before us the choice of life and death, blessing and curse, good and evil. And God pleads with us that we will choose life and the good, and each day's blessings. Wash you and revive you and make you clean, say the high holy days. Turn from one path to another, and then you shall return to the God of repentance who draws nearer and nearer. Ken Yehi Ratzon.